Today got a 2015 Mercedes. This is the C250 and the turbo one, 4-cylinder turbo one. It have PO 301 misfire cylinder number 1. But let me do a deeper scan to see what's up, because when you drive it's like spotting, you know, so that is a misfire. But let me do another scan through a little bit different machine to see if that what kind of code besides just. So that's the 300. Not sure my camera can see it, but let me do with this scan to see this scan can read a little bit different, because sometimes you're put into a more expensive machine, then that will do a little bit different. Okay, this have PO 30100 and PO 61B96. So pretty much the second one is the explanation of the cylinder number 1. I think that's what it is. And my camera, I'm not sure it can see it or not, but it's a combustion misfire cylinder number 1 had been detected. Okay, and the second cause is the torque calculation of the control unit have a malfunction. There is a internal component fail. So it could be ignition coil, could be your spark plug, could be injector, could be a weak cylinder, any of those. But this is 2015, have only 88,000 miles, so it cannot be, I would say it cannot be on the weak cylinder, any of those, because Mercedes does build pretty decent engine for like compression, all that stuff. You can see that, you can hear the noise when you put gas on it, and the car is vibrating, you know. Okay, so let's go to the hood, under the hood, to see what's up. This just pop out. Cylinder number 1 is from the front towards the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me check to see the cylinder number 1 is the problem. Okay, this is an E8. A little bit oil right there, but that is not causing it. I'm taking the spark plug to see how the spark plug look like. Okay, pretty decent. Let me check the second one. Okay. You see the two different spark plug right there? This one, the one misfire. That one is the non-misfire. Okay? So the tip of that is totally a little bit different. Okay, right here. That one had less gap and this one had more gap. Okay, let's do the gap on this right here. This one, which is the one misfire, is about, what do you call it? 0.060. So that means 60 on this right here. And let's check the one is non-misfire to see what's different. Okay, this is the non-misfire one.
So the non-misfire is about 0.0502. So 52 and a 60, that's about 8 different. So that means the one misfire a lot of more gap than the non-misfire. And I don't know what's the gap on that, but I'm going to correct this to a 52 and put it back in there to see if that can solve this misfire. Okay, if that's solving the misfire, then just the spark plug, but and the gap incorrected. Let's go run to see if that actually change. If that doesn't change, then I will do the next step. Okay, after I do the gap, it doesn't help. It's still dry the same. Yeah, a little bit better, but it still doesn't solve the problem. And still have that sponging takeoff, and you don't have a fully function on that. So that means it's not the spark plug gap. Okay, now let me see what kind of code it have again. Still cylinder number 1. Okay, so that means it's not the spark plug. So let me do the ignition coil swap to see if that will help. So I will swap the number 1 ignition coil to number 2 ignition coil to see if that will make the change. You take out number 1. I'm going to put number 1 in number 2. See if that will make it any different. If it make it different, then that means the ignition coil is not good. Okay. Let me clear the coil first to see if any other code coming up differently. Let's do a test run again until the code's coming back. Otherwise, I don't know. If the code's still the same, then I have to do the injector next. Alright, the engine popped up, so that means I don't have to drive far. That's good enough. Okay, so now the ignition coil is not good because it jumped to a 302 now. So definitely 100% is for sure ignition coil is not working properly. That's why the ignition coil, when you swap the ignition coil, you know, it's causing the misfire because 301, which is cylinder number 1, so I swapped to number 1 to number 2, so now jump to a number 2 cylinder. So definitely is, you don't have to do any more testing because you already know that the ignition coil on the cylinder number 1, when I swapped to number 2, identified that the code's in jumping. So when the code's jumping to a different cylinder, I mean, that is the solution right there. So you just replace that problem on that ignition coil, then everything else will be solving. So that's it. Very simple method that you don't have to have a expensive machine to do a test on that. But you know, when you have a machine, sometimes it read it, it doesn't read it. So this not very expensive. This is about $600-700, and that's not go through individually ignition coil and starting and resetting all that stuff, it doesn't do that. But you can do with a $30 machine scan tool, and that still do the work. But up to your knowledge that you know how you do it, because sometimes you have to go step by step, like swap the spark plug to see it's still jumping. It doesn't, then go ignition coil, and you do ignition coil, it doesn't changing, then you just doing the injector. If the injector doesn't changing, then you will be end up in the cylinder, either weak cylinder, or you have water, you know, misfire. It can cause like a cracked cylinder, or cracked head on the number one or whatever, that cylinder misfire, and you have a mist water into it and causing the car misfire. But on this case here, when you pull the spark plug out, you can see that the spark plug is not like showing water signs on it, you know. So you already know that it's not the cracked cylinder or cracked head and cause water into the cylinder. So you already know that part, because when water into your system, you should see like a reddish on the spark plug or something like that, you know. So all right, so I'm going to buy the ignition coil and try to see if that will exactly will solve the problem. And I know for sure it's the ignition coil, but I won't go through all the stuff, okay, to make sure people that who have this kind of situation will know exactly what I'm doing, and they can, you know what they doing too. It's okay to replace aftermarket stuff, okay, and it's not that best looking, but as long as it works, will be fine with me. But $41 plus tax, come up to like 44 something plus some change. All right, let me cover this and let's go test drive. Good, no problem, smooth like a butter. Okay, thank you for watching, subscribe, bye bye now, see you next video.